So lately I've been doing some reviews on some automatic out the front knives that I have gotten in. So I've got basically what's going to be the last, hopefully the last one of these that I'll do for a long time. As I'm kind of exploring the automatic, specifically the out the front knife world, I kind of wanted to get something representative from all the different categories and compare them. So the very first knife that I got was the Ultratech, the Microtech Ultratech here. So price range wise, this is kind of what I would say is as low as you can go and still get something that you know is really rock solid quality. So you're looking at about a $300 knife right here for the Ultratech. So then I wanted to see, well, what options are there if somebody wants to do something cheaper than that? How affordable can you go and still have any kind of quality? So the step down from that is this Viper-Tec Phantom, which is retails at about $90. You can get it on sale. I actually picked this thing up for about $60. And you can look at my review on that. Clearly not in the same category at all. This thing has a lot more blade play. I had some other issues. Screw came loose on it, things like that. Had to use Loctite everywhere because everything was kind of loose. The steel itself is extremely soft on that knife. But overall, it's still a fun knife, and getting it at the discounted price of $60, if someone's mostly going to be opening packages, envelopes, things like that, I would say, it might be worth it just for the fun factor based on your use. If it's not heavy use and anything that will easily dull a blade, because this blade will dull very easily, then I would say you could probably still get that and enjoy it. So then my next question was, well, is there going to be much of a difference in quality based on where the quality is on that $60 to $90 knife if you go even lower and get one of the Lightning double action out the fronts, which are kind of well known for being decent quality considering the price point, which those run, $25, $30, $35, something like that. And I did decide to go ahead and pick one of those up. So I'm going to unbox that here today. I will say that there's the Lightning out the front, and then there's also the Lightning Elite out the front. I ended up picking up one of the Lightning Elites without doing a lot of research and realizing that there may be a difference there. I'm not even sure they're made by the same company. It is made in China, so they may have used the name just because they knew that people knew the Lightnings, and so if they did Lightning Elite, people would just think that it was an upgraded version of the Lightning. And it may be, I'm not sure, I just don't know. But this thing has mixed reviews. As far as the deployment and everything, it seems like most people still say it's pretty decent. I think the problem you get into with any of these Chinese-made knives is the steel is junk. So I fully expect that to be the case here. But I do want to go ahead and do this unboxing, and we'll see where we're at here. So you can see here that the Viper-Tec does cut. It's not like you can't cut stuff like plastic or whatnot with it. All right, so we're going to go ahead and look at this Lightning Elite double action out the front. I picked this thing up for $30. It comes in a case much like the Viper-Tec did, this kind of nylon sheath pouch thing. So that actually is very similar to what we had with the Viper-Tec. You can see right there, made in China, which I already knew was the case. Not at all surprised by that. I will say, just based on pictures and stuff, I don't really like the look of these Lightnings. I know they are cheap, but they look cheap. You can definitely see like this design doesn't appeal to me that much. I will say one thing, they claim that the handles are aluminum, and I don't know for sure if they are or not, or what quality aluminum they are. But I will say that this thing is way, way lighter than the Viper-Tec is. The Viper-Tec here, which is a zinc aluminum alloy, something like that, this thing is way heavier, probably at least twice as heavy as this thing here. So the Lightning here is supposedly 4.1 ounces, and I would say that's probably right. This thing feels extremely light in the hand. Kind of blocky. It doesn't look horrible, but it definitely looks cheap. So I went ahead and got the drop point because I figured if I'm going to use it, that's a more usable blade shape. In fact, As I've shown on another video, this was actually a Tonto point, and I actually reprofiled it into a drop point because I prefer the drop point style to the Tonto. So, you know, I gotta say, actually, this is a little crazy, guys, but based on the way this thing comes out, the feeling and smoothness and how tight it feels like it's locking up and shooting in and out, and even with the blade play, this already feels like way better quality than this. This thing has way more blade play. It's not, I mean, it comes in and out fine, but it makes a kind of metallic clinky noise. It's not the greatest. This thing is much quieter, and it just feels a lot smoother coming in and out. So, I hate to even say this based on a $30 knife, but man, this thing, I see why people like them. The feeling, the feeling is quality as far as the action coming in and out. Like, that is really solid feeling action in the hand. That's extremely smooth. It feels rock solid when it comes out. It has like no real blade play front to back. It does have some side to side, but I'm going to say, based on comparing that to my Ultratech, which a $300 knife versus a $30 knife, there's not that much difference in blade play. There's less in the Ultratech, but it's not significantly less. And neither of them really have any blade play going, you know, front to back. It's side to side. Action, this feels about as good as the Ultratech. Realistically, the only thing, I say the only thing, but it's a pretty major thing when it comes to a knife. The only thing that I know, almost without a shadow of a doubt, is going to let me down is the quality of this blade. So the blade is supposedly, they just define it as 440 steel. They don't even say whether it's 440 A, B, or C. Chinese steel, knowing it like I do and having run into especially these cheap stainless steels, this is probably completely junk steel. Now, that's speculation at this point. I haven't used it, but I would be incredibly surprised if that thing held any kind of edge or was any harder than this super soft Viper-Tec is. Which is also supposed to be, that one's supposed to be 440C. So, based on that, you know, again, this is, more than likely, this is going to be something for opening envelopes or packages. If you're cutting tape or paper with it, you're probably going to be fine. Anything more than that, I doubt I would trust the steel. I'm going to say this doesn't feel overly sharp. I mean, it's not dull, but it doesn't feel overly sharp. Well, let me see if I've got a piece of paper here that I can test this out on, and we'll see what's going on there. So, you know, yeah, it's a little dull. It's fairly sharp there toward the tip and in the belly of the knife. It feels like it's kind of dull there at the bottom edge of the blade, but realistically, I mean, that's not bad, right? It's cutting relatively smoothly there, so I'm not going to say that it's horrible as far as the actual blade itself goes. I would say that that's doable, serviceable. I gotta say, guys, I don't like the looks of it. I thought it looked cheap in the pictures. I think it looks cheap in person. The pattern or design that's on this, probably some kind of cast aluminum, isn't all that appealing to me. I don't like the offset clip necessarily that much. The pocket clip doesn't look great to me. I'm sure the paint's going to rub off on it, but that's true of the Viper-Tec as well. But solely based on the feeling of the quality of the construction itself, the action itself, I'm going to say right now, I would not recommend the Viper-Tec over this at all. Retail value for both of these, the Viper-Tec's three times the price of this. If you want to cheap out the front and you just want to kind of feel what that feels like and get a feeling for whether you like the out the front, man, I don't think you can go wrong with this. This thing feels awesome in the hand, and I really, I really am almost embarrassed as a knife guy who really likes quality knives and spends a lot of money sometimes on quality knives. I'm almost embarrassed to be talking highly of a what should be a piece of junk from China. And maybe it will prove out to be the materials themselves. I'm sure are not high quality material, so it probably isn't going to hold up to a whole lot. But as far as feeling like it's well put together and having quality there's no rough edges, nothing's catching my hand. That blade is deploying. Like I said, that action is incredibly smooth. It's honestly the feeling of it is every bit as good as my Microtech, which is blowing me away. I know for a fact the steel's not going to be anywhere near, the steel that I've got in the Microtech. And I know it sounds like I'm trying to justify spending $300 on a Microtech, and to some degree that may be true. But yeah, like I said, if you're going to put any kind of hard use everyday carry where you use a knife a lot, I'm going to say until I further test this blade and it were to prove me wrong, I would not suggest that you use this knife because I'm sure this blade is not going to hold an edge. I'm almost certain this thing's going to dull super easily. It's going to be cheap Chinese stainless steel, and I don't expect much out of the blade itself. But if you're going to use it because you want to carry it around and open packages or letters or junk mail or whatever, it's a cool knife for that. And for $30, you can't hardly go wrong. Oh, there we had a failure. Look at that. So I was talking highly of it, and then it just let me down. So apparently that going real fast back and forth. Yep, there it goes. Haha, see? I got to talking highly of it, and now it's showing me maybe why it's, as cheap as it is. So I still will say that the action when it deploys feels incredibly solid. But yeah, that's a problem there, guys. So yeah, this is why your initial unboxing videos, you may be impressed at first, but as you start to use it, look at that. It's already failing just multiple times with just deploying it, not doing anything else, just deploying it back and forth. So, all right, well that I hate to say that I'm almost happy about that. I'm not. I'd rather it work for $30, but it makes me more confident that the $30 price point is justified. That thing originally just feels so good in the hand that I was thinking, like, how in the world can you get something that feels like that for $30? But man, look at this. This thing's just failing left and right now. It's almost like right out of the box. I worked it initially, and now the thing just doesn't want to deploy. Yeah, it doesn't want to deploy consistently. When you're getting that many failures for the thing to come out, it kind of makes you like, what's the point? What's the point of this knife if I've got to manually pull the blade out ever so often, or quite frequently, because it does that. It doesn't want to deploy. So it doesn't really matter how. And now, I don't know if you can hear, but now I'm hearing all kinds of spring twang that was not there before. Yeah. So I'm probably going to have to take this thing apart and look at it and see if there's something that's causing it to do that. But, all right, so I'm going to have to amend my former statement. I said about why, this thing, I wouldn't necessarily recommend the Viper-Tec over this. Seeing that fail that many times, I have deployed this Viper-Tec. I've deployed this thing literally at this point thousands of times, at least a couple thousand times. And I have never had it fail to deploy. It's deployed every time. Same with the Microtech. I've deployed this thing in and out, I don't know how many times. Actually, not as many as the Viper-Tec, but regardless, never had either of those fail to deploy, not once. This thing, just since I've been doing this video, you can see it's almost like, it's just every, 5 or 6 times? I don't know, I'm not counting, but like right there is only 2. There it goes again. So, yeah, this is a useless knife. As far as out the front goes, if you can't deploy it consistently, if you can't get it to deploy consistently every time, then what's the point of the knife, right? A knife does you no good if you can't access the blade. So, all right, guys, with that being the case and just seeing how much that thing is failing left and right, I can't recommend this thing at all. Despite how good it felt in the hand initially when I got it out and worked it those couple times, how smooth that action felt. Look at this. And like I said, the action is already not feeling as smooth. It's like just wearing it that little bit. Now I've got all the spring twang. I've got it, it's not going out and in as smoothly as it was before. And then now every few times it's failing to deploy. So yeah, based on that, I gotta say $30 piece of junk. Guys, don't buy one of these if you want something. Now again, maybe I'm unlucky. Maybe I got one that, but for $30, it's a crapshoot. You don't know what you're gonna get. If you could get one that felt as good as this thing felt in the hand when I first was, working it and was reliable every time, then I would absolutely say for $30, even if it was a cheap blade steel, even if the blade steel doesn't hold an edge. It's a $30 letter opener, but it's a really cool one and a really nice one. But it completely negates that if the thing's going to fail like this. If it's going to do that, I can't recommend at all that you even pick it up, even for $30. You pick it up for $5, it wouldn't be worth it if the blade doesn't deploy. So, yeah, when you're looking for an out the front, guys, I just don't think you're going to be able to beat paying quality price for a quality product. You're going to have to buy something like a Microtech or a Benchmade or, one of these higher end knives that their reputation is built around that name, and they're not going to allow that reputation to be destroyed on putting out a crappy product. So if you're going to buy made in China, you're getting what you paid for. You're going to get something that's not great. So based on that, the Lightning is a bust. Would not recommend that. Still, if you can get a good deal on a Viper-Tec and you just really want it out the front and you don't care that the quality isn't that great and that the blade steel is going to be super soft, then yeah, if that works for you, then I would say I with that caveat, I would go ahead and recommend the Viper-Tec if that's all you have money-wise and you just really want it out the front. Otherwise, save up, get yourself a Microtech, get yourself something of quality, maybe a Benchmade, something like that. But these cheap Chinese out the fronts, you get what you pay for.